Hello everyone, welcome to Java tutorial. So up to now we have covered the topic exceptional handling, in which we have covered what is exception handling and how we handle the exceptions, like with the help of try, catch, throw and throws. And then after that we have already covered that multiple catch condition, nested try catch, or try catch inside a try block. So today first we will cover what is the difference between final, finally and finalize, and after that we will cover the topic exceptional handling with method overriding in Java. So what is final? As in our previous tutorial we have already covered that if we declare any variable as final, then its value will not change. If we declare any method as a final, then it cannot be override. If you declare any class as final, then it cannot be extend. So this is the use of the final keyword. Then we have this finally block. This finally block we will write after try catch. This is the block which will always execute whether the exception occurred or not. This block will be always executed in the try catch. Or then we have this finalize. This finalize method is called itself by the JVM in case of garbage collections. So it make the all the objects eligible for the garbage collection. So GC compiler garbage collector run this method before collecting the garbage values. So these are the three different words: final, finally and finalize. So next topic which we are going to cover is exceptional handling with method overriding in Java. So as there are two cases, one is if superclass method does not contain any exception, and second case is if the superclass method declare an exception. Let's first discuss the first point. If the superclass method does not declare an exception, suppose we have a parent class. Name of this class is parent, and this class has a method public void message. Suppose this is the name of my method, and system dot out dot println parent class mess, right? So this is my parent class having this method messes. Then what it say that if the superclass method does not declare an exception, so this class is not having any exception, or this class do not have any exceptions. We have not declared any exception in the method. Then subclass overridden method cannot declare the checked exception. So if we override this method and will declare the checked exception, that will throw the compile time error, but it can declare the unchecked exception. So we have already covered what are checked exception. IO or SQL exception are checked exception, and unchecked exception are runtime exception like null pointer exception, array out of bound, arithmetic exceptions. So we can have, if our superclass method do not contain any exception, then subclass cannot have checked exception, but subclass can have unchecked exception. So let's create a child class. This is my child class, test exception in child. So we will test the exception, and it is containing the method public static void. What we will do, see, we will extend this class with parent class. It is extending the parent class, and we will override the public void message, and we will display the same text as we have here in the parent class. We will override the method. Alright, so what we will do, we will first we will create the object of this test class. T is equal to new and t dot message. So if we run this program, then it will display the oh, let me first convert into child class. So it will display the child class message because we have created the object of this child class. So if we try to throws any exception, suppose IO exception, if we try to throw IO exception here, what it will say? It will say exception IO exception is not compatible with the throw clause in the parent dot message, because in the parent we have not declared any exception, so we cannot declare any checked exception in the overridden method. But if we declare the arithmetic exception here, arithmetic exception, so let me copy this exception and yeah, I was doing this some mistake. So if I have declared this arithmetic exception here, which is unchecked exception, then it is working fine. It is working fine. So our first point, that if the superclass method does not declare an exception, then subclass overridden method cannot declare the checked exception, but it can declare the unchecked exception. So this point is covered now. Now what we will do, if the superclass method declare an exception, suppose if this parent declare an exception, suppose what we will do, throw exceptions what we will do, we will copy the exceptions from here, maybe some spelling mistake, yeah, throws exceptions. If our parent class throw exception, subclass overridden method can declare same, or subclass exception no exception but cannot declare parent exception. What it mean? Its meaning is that if our parent class contain an exception, then subclass can have exception or cannot have exception, but it cannot it can have exception only the subclass of the exception declared in the parent. Suppose this is an exception, so this class cannot have throwable exception. This class can have exception which are the subclasses of the exception. So arithmetic exception is a subclass of exception, so it will work fine. And even if we do not declare any exceptions, even then it is fine. But suppose in our parent we have declared IO exception. So this is our parent class exception, and here we do not have any exception, so it is working fine. But if we declare here throws exception, exception, exception throws exception, then you can see here that exception is not compatible with the throw clause in the parent dot messes. So it will throw this exception. We cannot have parent exception in the overridden method, or we can have same exception. Here we have exception and here we have exception. Even then it is fine. Even then it will not throw any error. So we have to handle these exceptions. Yeah, so here we have handled the exceptions, and if we run this program it will work fine. So there are 2 points which we have covered. One is if superclass method contain any exception, and if the superclass method do not contain any exception. So both the points we have already covered.